And welcome back. Will Worsham joins us now for this week's Speaking Legal discussion. Thanks for coming in.
Glad to be here.
Always glad with your judge pin on it and the whole deal.
Yeah.
Don't judge us.
Pretty good.
Don't
Pretty
judge
good.
us.
All right, let's take a look at today's question. My neighbor has built an outbuilding I believe is over the property line. How should I handle it? And I would imagine that's without a bulldozer.
Yeah. I was going to say, just tear it down. Just knock it over.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
No.
There's a way to go about this.
There's a better way?
Well, first of all, I'm disturbed by the language, I believe. Okay, that's where things start, but we need to know before we take any action. So, the first thing is let's find out. I would recommend that before we do any of that, let's talk to the neighbor. Right?
That's what you said for a lot of things. Talk to the guy.
Well, let's talk it
to
out.
the guy.
Let's not lawyer up until we have to.
Right.
So maybe we talk it out. Maybe the neighbor said, no, I looked at this. We had it all, the surveyors out, and that's the property line, and everything's good, and it's really not over the line. But let's say it is over the line. We've had the surveyors out, it's over the line. What are we going to do about it? Well, depending on what the building is constructed of, maybe he can just move it. That would be great. We can work it out. Maybe it's not that big a deal to you, although if we're asking the question, maybe it is.
What happens if he's got a whole foundation and everything sunk in
Well,
the
that's a
ground?
problem.
Well, you might see that come, and you might say, hey, what's going on before that gets that far?
We don't know what happened here, but at any rate, maybe they were going to China for a week, and a building got
and stuff, you don't know.
Stuff happens.
Yeah.
Well, you leave the country for a while.
True.
But here we are. So we've got to do something about it. Realistically, sell him the piece of land that it's on. We can do some sort of a cash exchange for value. He now owns it. It's no big deal. Everybody's taken care of. Can you force him to tear it down and move it? Yeah, you probably can. I'm not sure that's the most neighborly thing to do.
Right.
You're going to want him to live next to that guy
Exactly.
after that?
That was my follow-up with that. Now you're going to have to live with this.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate as well. It is a situation that has to be addressed. However, you can't just leave it that way. Because you get into what's called adverse possession if you don't take care of a situation where somebody's using your property. And you don't want that to happen, because then they could come back later after a period of time. In Missouri, it happens to be 10 years, and say, no, I own it now because
I've taken care of it. I've used
open, adversely, open, obviously. I have been using it for 10 years. I own it. And they would own it through a quiet title action at that point. So even if you're going to say, you know what, it's not a big deal, I'm okay with them having it here, you need to at least document the fact that you've given them permission. Because if you give them permission, at some point in the future, you could withdraw that permission. And because the use was permissive and not adverse possession law would not apply. And so that situation where you lose your rights to the property would not trigger.
Okay. So adverse means they're basically taking it.
Yes, adverse.
And then they are saying, no. I used this for 10 years. It's mine, pal.
Yes.
And that's so adverse is without permission.
It
So now
seems
you
a little
have,
goofy.
Yeah.
It seems a little backwards. I understand that. And there's a whole theory of law we study in law school that makes you go, okay, I understand the theory behind that. But essentially, it is the idea that we want land to be used. We want land to go to its highest and best use. And so if you're not using it at all, and somebody else is making use of it, and even if it's adverse to your interest, as long as it's open and obvious, they weren't keeping it a secret from anybody, and they're using it, and you had the opportunity to do something about it and didn't, they do so for a long enough period of time, we're going to let them have the land because they were making good use of that land. That's what adverse possession is all about. So the way you, as a property owner, allow them to continue to use the land but not you lose your rights to it, is you give them permission.
It seems like like anything, one person has got to be the one, whether it's in a child case or anything, it has to be the one that kind of backs off and says, okay, we can work this out, if you're not going to hire a lawyer.
Right. Well, and I don't know that I would want to use the term back off because that sounds kind of weak.
But
it does. Somebody at least has to put the foot forward to go, maybe we don't have to go nuclear on this. We don't necessarily have to. And hopefully, if you do go to a lawyer, and you should, you can get a lawyer that says, maybe there's a way to resolve this without going straight to court. A good lawyer would.
Right.
So the first thing to do is get a surveyor. Find out if it's actually on your property or not. Then you kind of talk from there. Then if nothing can happen, then is when you might want to speak to a lawyer, especially then.
Right on.
Right.
Okay.
Sounds good, Will.
Will,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, if you have a legal question for Will, you can email him at wworsham@color10.com, and of course, he'll answer your question on the show. It was good also to know that there's that law in the books. That's one of those things that people talk about. Oh, if I take care of this property for this,
Right.
so it is there, 10 years.
There
10
is.
years.
There are some conditions to it, but it's there.
All right.
Thanks,
okay.
Will.
You bet.
Penny Carden from the Mickey Gilley Show is here to perform a special song for us, and she brought the songwriter along with her, too. That's up next.
All right.